in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes, these are dog takes. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? These sons of guns fresh off the press. I mean, fresh off the press of the gas pedal, just pulled into the studio. Just got done with 3 player interviews. Malachi Starks, preseason All-American, had Amarius Mims, preseason All-American in my book. I don't know if it's in your book, but I don't really care. He should be if he's not. And then, of course, Warren Brinson, who's like already, if he hasn't signed a deal with ESPN or Fox, like he's on the doorsteps and the precipice of doing that because he's eventually going to work on a television network. I want to immediately, while they're fresh in my mind and fresh in this here notebook, talk to you about what we learned from these guys today. I always learn a lot about Georgia, anything Georgia related when I listen to those people speak. I think they're almost always super intellectual human beings, from head coach down to, redshirt freshman guy getting to talk to the media for the very first time. Always super thoughtful, super introspective, and super well-spoken. So I'm always trying to learn, trying to see what's going on. And from Malachi Starks, I learned quite a bit today. He spoke today about trying to improve. He didn't talk about, hey, my back pedal's got to get better. I got to get stronger. No. All that's known. That's duh. We know that. He spoke today about becoming smarter with regards to the game of football, learning more football, studying more football, being around more football has led to what I call aha moments. That's what he's having in spring. And he mentioned in the fall camp, someone asked him, hey, are things coming easier for you? Do you find yourself in positions where you're like, wouldn't have made that play 6 months ago, or wouldn't have made that play last year? And he said, absolutely. And his eyes lit up. He had, aha, right? You have these aha moments as football players, the more confident we become in the assignments and alignments we know, right? I asked him specifically, expound upon how you are going about learning more football. His immediate answer was, well, I'm studying more about coverages, and I'm learning more about what my teammates' responsibilities are, because I already know finally what I'm supposed to be doing. Now it's about learning about what the guy next to me is supposed to be doing, because if I can learn his job and I can learn where his deficiencies might be or where he's supposed to be, then I can correct those things. Or not only correct those things, I can play off of those things. So while he's having all these aha moments as a football player, as a media guy, I'm sitting here having these aha moments going, holy shit. This kid was a freshman last year. This kid was probably the best defensive back they had last year. This kid was an All-American caliber football player last year. And he's only going to get better. That's all he's going to do. Moving forward, Malachi Starks is going to continuously get better. And here's another reason why. He says every single day, him and Javon Bullard sit down and they go over 3 things. 3 things that I can get better at, 3 things that you can get better at. They write them down. They compare notes every single day. I'm here to tell you right now, I'm 28 years old. I don't know how old you are listening to this today, but I promise you, you are not that self-introspective about how to go about improving yourself. I promise you that right now. So 19, 22-year-olds, don't be ignorant walking into that room thinking you can't learn something from that younger person, because I sure as shit learned something today. That dude takes 3 things every single day, an All-American, someone who is at the top 3% of what he does, sits there every single day and gives them 3. Let's give him 3. Oh, the boys weren't sleeping today. No, they weren't. No, absolutely learned today that Malachi Starks is ready to continue to improve upon himself after an All-American season. Thought it was, interesting to hear him talk about guys like Will Muschamp and guys like Kirby Smart and guys like Glenn Schumann. He said, quote, it's amazing how much you can learn if you just soak it in. Meaning if you're just willing to be a sponge. He talked about his willingness to be a sponge as a freshman. Take criticism as well. Take hard coaching. Take stern coaching. Take that and run with it and not be afraid to make mistakes because you may be criticized. No. We accept criticism if we're willing in pursuit of greatness, if we're in willing pursuit of greatness as well. Also thought it was really interesting to hear him talk about football as, football just being football. I played this game for a long time. I understand how it is. Now it's just guys that are bigger and speeds that are faster, right? That's all it was. But football is still football. run, block, tackle, and hit, all that good stuff. So learned a lot from Malachi Starks today, as you should too. If you go back and watch those interviews at the various platforms that you can find them, including Dogs Daily, you're going to learn a lot from a young 19, 20-year-old individual that you can take away from. Amarius Mims, he told the media today what we've told Patreon, because these guys come in every fall camp, and in the spring they weigh them and measure them, and in the summer they weigh them and measure them, and in the fall they weigh them and measure them, and some of them, if they got problems, whether it be pluses or negatives, they weigh them and measure them kind of frequently, right? So we had recent measurements delivered to us over on Patreon of Amarius Mims when he got to fall camp this year. He told the folks today, 6'8", 335 pounds, 17% body fat. Okay, he is a whistle worth, absolutely. He is 100% a whistle worth with regards to his overall size. And Mans comes into the media room, hair as big and as broad and as, noticeable as just his overall, physical being is, right? And he's got purple Dior shorts on. And did you see the tweet I had today? How would you describe those loafers? What are those?
Slippers? That's the best thing. It looked like bedtime slippers.
I mean, size 18 slippers locked up in there and was just vibing. Every question was just a whole ass vibe is Amarius Mims at 6'8", 330 pounds. The smile with which he had on his face when asked about Tate Ratledge, you understand why he's not over on that left side right now. There is nothing physically, athletically in this world that Amarius Mims cannot do. All right, so I had this theory that, and even I fell into it. Hey, he's not amphibious, not yet. Ain't ready to go over there. What I failed to realize was maybe it's not just him not being amphibious. Maybe it's Tate Ratledge not wanting to flip over there, or maybe it's the combination of both. Right, the law of diminishing returns. Is it worth us flipping both these guys over? Is it worth us separating them and flipping one guy over? Or is it just worth letting these two guys grow next to each other and enjoy what was probably their last year of college football together on the right side? By the way, on the side of the quarterback that we are predominantly going to be working our play actions off of, right? We want to show the chest to the defense. We want to be on our left side of the quarterback. We run most of our stuff to the right side as a right-handed quarterbacked offense. Right, so don't all these things make sense? And then you see the smile on his face when talking about his teammate today in Tate Ratledge. You get it. You 100% get it. He mentioned at times his freshman year, he wondered if he was ever going to see the field at the University of Georgia. This is a 5-star. This is a guy that, I thought the path to playing time was pretty simple until Warren McClendon came back for a 4th year. And then everybody was like, oh, shit. Golly, that kind of, honestly, what maybe one of the reasons Amarius Mims even flirted with the portal in the first place. You guys remember that? There was a time there when, he was taking visits to Florida State. Well, I think a lot of that, or some of that, had to do with the fact that Warren decided to come back for a 4th year. So now you're having to ask a 5-star to sit another one, right? And yeah, he got on the field against Ohio State, and he started, in the national championship game, and he got ample playing time in plenty of blowouts. But he wasn't the starter last year. He wasn't the known starter going into the season. You had to ask him to sit one. And to hear him talk about that and get over those thoughts, that's obvious. And it was noticeable. The other obvious and noticeable thing, and he didn't slip up on this, but it's clear to me when you listen to these guys talk, that room's spoken about the Joe Moore Award. They don't put it on the wall. It's not like something they've tattooed on their game plan or on the letterhead of their offensive install for the offensive lineman. It's not that big of a deal, but it's very clear to me that those guys have spoken about what that award has, how that award has, let's say, evaded them over the last 2 years, and it definitely means something to those people. I was intrigued to hear his answer. As always with these offensive linemen, hey, what's Stacy like? What's Stacy Searles like? What's that guy like? Because most of you guys, y'all that are playing here, most of you guys didn't commit to him. Y'all either, like Cedric Van Pran committed to Sam Pittman, and like Tate Ratledge committed to Sam Pittman and then had to get finished off and signed by Matt Luke. And then, all these guys have had this transition through the offensive lineman room. And then I asked him about Stacy Searles, and the first thing he said was consistency. Guys, the same thing every single day. No highs, no lows, no ups, no downs. I heard someone describe it this way. He's not a heart rate monitor, right? He's not an EKG. He's not a bing, bing, bing. It's not that right there with Stacey Searles. It's just the same guy every single day. And I heard him say, and that's big to us. I think the one thing people forget about the offensive line room is very different than the rest. Okay, the rest of the rooms in football world, they can be very individualistic. There can be one guy that's like, hey, it's my time to play corner, right? It's my time to have this side of the field. It's my time to be the quarterback. It's my time to be the running back. That offensive line unit is congruent. They work together. They are a unit. They are a family, much more than any other position group because they work within one another at all times, right? So if you don't have all of them, you don't have all of them. There's no, oh, we just got to make sure our 2 starters love us. That's not how this works in that offensive line room. So listen to him say that's big for us. And the other thing he might have, I'm not going to say slipped up on, but when asked about Carson Beck, he said from the spring until now. I think it's pretty well known that this has been Carson Beck's football team. They just made sure he earned it every single time before they announced it in totality. But I think it's been clear and well noted and documented that this has been Carson Beck's football team. And if you heard Amarius Mims speak today, you would have been well aware of that as well. Now, speaking of Carson Beck, his freshman roommate, Warren Brinson. Somehow Warren Brinson and Carson Beck ended up rooming together when they first early enrolled at the University of Georgia. That dude is so funny. He walks into the media room and he's got his phone up and I don't know if he was actually recording, but he's acting like he was recording, and he basically said, like, I got to get documentation of this. I never thought it was going to happen. I waited 3 years. He's been dying to talk to the media. And if you know Warren, and if you get to watch Warren talk and be in front of a camera, if you see his stuff on the Players Lounge, and his stuff Beyond the Hedges is a show. If you watch that, he is very boisterous. He's very outgoing. He is the definition of a personality, but he is super insightful, okay? I asked him basically what's going on at the University of Georgia that makes people want to stay where they're at, makes them want to grow where they're playing it. And his immediate response was directed to, it was about him, his personal experience. But his first answer was, Trey Scott was my first offer. If Trey Scott doesn't believe in me that I could play at this level, then the rest of the offers never exist. All the other glow up, all the other belief in my talents never exist. So he basically said, who am I to deny that or walk away from the person that first believed in me? He said, I would have never left the University of Georgia because I would never leave Trey Scott. And he also said that Trey Scott told him, and has been true to this day, that as long as Kirby Smart is the head coach of the University of Georgia, he's going to have to ask Trey Scott to leave. So if there's any thoughts about Trey Scott maybe leaving the University of Georgia for another role, it doesn't sound like it's happening anytime soon. It sounds like he's going to have to, like he said, be asked to leave the University of Georgia. He also talked about how Georgia is about straining, right? It's a place of strain. He said it took him a while to learn how to practice. Also love listening to the new terminology. Said 50% of sacks in the NFL were beyond 4 seconds in the league last year, meaning the quarterback held the ball longer than 4 seconds. So he's basically saying sacks, at least half of them are effort stats. How long can you go? How long can you run? That was interesting to hear him say. And then I heard him say another term that we're going to be using around this network from now on, beat him clean with regards to pass rushing, right? I got a sack because I beat that tackle clean. I beat him clean. It was not an effort sack. It's that other 50%, right? 50% of the sacks, that guy beat him clean. 50% of the sacks, effort sacks. Hey, welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you tonight here on Talk the Dog. It was a great day to be, on the network. It's been a great week to be here on the network. I guess it's our hottest video to date, our Buford mic'd up series. Folks, y'all seem to love that. I knew, I'm not gonna say I knew it was gonna be hit. It's something that we tested out multiple times. But we kind of felt that one was going to be good. And I kind of felt it was going to be good, so much so that we bought the equipment in advance, filmed it, scheduled everything else in advance because we knew it was going to be good. So, yeah, it's going to be coming every single week, most likely on Monday mornings. We're going to try to shoot for releasing that on Monday mornings. Welcome in, boys. How are we doing today?
Chilling. What about you, man?
I can't complain. I kind of like that, honestly. I kind of like not being able to prepare myself too much, but the only preparation I have is just to be geeked up off my ass when I walked in here. Just, a different kind of energy. And if that's the case, I normally can work myself through, what was that, like 12 minutes of ripping?
15. You're on 15 right now.
15 minutes of just all gas, no brakes, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, if you were tired of listening to the dweebs, guess what? I gave you 15 minutes of me. I'm so sick of that comment, by the way. Guys, we've been giving you 2 hours a night, 4 nights a week. Oh, also, by the way, been doing multiple film studies over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. There is so much content going out on this channel right now. It's impossible for you to even watch it all. All right, so if you're not getting enough of me, I'm sorry. And for all the years I've been called this arrogant, like, dude, I God forbid I bring some people on to help, like, it not just be me, even though I plastered my damn name on the fucking wall.
Hey, man, the people came for Brooks. That's all it is.
People came for Brooks. They're going to stay for the dweebs. Y'all are going to win them over. I got a feeling on that. No, but we got a loaded show for you guys. I want to take a quick moment. We freaking won. I know that's right in your mic. We freaking won. Prize Picks. Move the board. Hey, where we at? Where we at? Right here. Hey, Jake Fromm, you beautiful SOB, 60 and a half, easy money. Melvin Gordon, 22 and a half, duh. Jahan Dotson, we was all over it. Overs, dub. Hey, give him 3. Fucking in the dub column over on Prize Picks. All y'all was giving me hell. Speaking of giving me hell, we had Aaron Murray on yesterday. He spent 33 minutes with the statistical passing leader, record holder in the SEC. All y'all want to talk about is the damn chair he was sitting in. Y'all don't want to talk about none of the commentary. Y'all don't want to talk about none of that. Y'all just want to talk about the chair he was sitting in. And guess what? I know it ain't the most beautiful chair in the world, but guess who sat on that chair for 3.5 years and just delivered absolute gas takes? This guy. So if it's not too bad for me, why is it too good for Aaron Murray? Is it because, his jersey should be in the quote-unquote rafters at Georgia?
I don't know, maybe. Everybody's got to start somewhere, though,
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
I mean, he needs a throne.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I mean, we got bar stools up in here. You think we should give him a bar stool next time?
Maybe.
Dude, give him a
Maybe?
bar stool.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll give him a bar stool.
Just have him stand, actually.
Absolutely. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about a little game of what we call Amarius Versus. I think we're going to do this. Are we going to do this? Did you guys prepare for this like I asked you to? Not quite. Don't worry. I did the show notes while we were waiting on Amarius to walk in, so it's all good. We're going to throw it out. All right, I think Amarius Mims is unlike very many creatures on this planet, and I think he could hold his own against some of the world's gnarliest of animals on this round globe. We're going to give them 3. We got 3 questions, each of us, that we still got about this football team as we're, 10 days?
Yeah.
10 days from September 2nd as they tee it up between the hedges at 6 p.m. How about that? Little semi-night game to start the season.
Dusk action.
Little dusk action. So for those of you who have, what is that, the away stands, what is that, the south side? The south side of the stadium that's in the sun?
Yeah.
Hey, 6 p.m., you're not going to be sweating too many bullets, but you're going to be eating it during pregame. No doubt about it. You're going to be eating some sun rays during that one. So we're going to give them 3. We got 3 questions each. We're going to talk a concept of the day, and we're going to talk a little bit about how Georgia has one of the rarest quarterback rooms in all of college football. Glad you guys could be in here with us today. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. Make sure you're heading over to Prize Picks, getting 100% promo or 100% deposit match. I didn't even do the read because I was too hyped to let you know I actually won one. The bank account's looking fat. I'm just going to let you know right now. Promo code Brooks over there on Prize Picks today. Get a 100% deposit match. All right, what does that mean? It sounds like what it is. All right, you put $100 in, they'll give you $100 and match it immediately. What does that mean? It means you have $200 in your account over on Prize Picks today if you just use promo code Brooks and put a hundo in. That's basically winning your first, entry, if you will, on Prize Picks today. So love the off the rip segment. We're gonna have to do more of that. Let's jump right into Amarius Versus, because this is real quick. This is gonna be nice and humorous, hopefully, and we'll move right on. What I have found is when you try for funny in this industry, you don't land. So let's just do this realistically. Because do you think?
You want us to be serious?
I mean, I'm serious.
All right.
Do you think Amarius Mims could take out a black bear?
Help the bear.
Help the bear?
Yeah.
I think he could do it.
All right, I got tail of the tape. Amarius Mims, 6'8", 335 pounds. That's baseline salary. That's what we're starting at, right?
Right.
That's no pregame. That's no 6-week fight camp. That's nothing. That's base salary. All right, that's the baseline model. That's the F-150 non-deluxe. 6'8", 335. Let's give him 21 miles per hour. Okay, because we believe here
Are
on
they
this
just
network.
running at each other?
And I'm just giving you stats because I ran the other stats,
Okay,
right?
okay.
A black bear is 5 foot tall on his hind legs to his shoulder cap. So if we give him his head, he's about 6 foot tall. All right, that is a bear. A black bear ranges from about 350 to 500 pounds. So let's say he runs up on one of these, middle school bears. You think Amarius Mims is giving him the pause? Because I think he is.
I think he could.
Yeah,
I believe in that.
I like his chances.
Do you know a black bear could go 35 mile an hour?
No, what's even more terrifying is watching them climb trees.
Yeah,
That's wild to watch.
They're mad athletic.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Amarius Mims could climb the hell out of a tree, though.
Yeah.
And here's the deal: if we're just talking about just pure instincts, I mean, the bear is a literal killer, But Amarius, I mean, if it comes down to a serpentine, if I got to move, natural intellect, there's a reason why humans are above the bear. So we got to give him a little bit of nudge.
Yeah, he's smarter than the bear.
Smarter than your average bear.
There. That's fair.
Definitely smarter than your average bear. How about a tiger? A tiger, I have found. Check this out.
Those claws are dangerous, man.
Claws are dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know about a tiger.
Claws are dangerous, and I wonder if Amarius could have the opportunity to overpower a tigre. You know what I mean? Just stay away from the teeth, and maybe we get a body slam in once or twice.
I don't know,
something.
dude.
A little gut punch, because first thing a tiger's going to do is one of those. He's going to expose that chest. And you know what I mean? As offensive linemen, that's what we do. We find that chest, we shock that chest plate. So if a tiger comes at him like this, claws out and all, if we get to that chest plates first, we might be able to control that tigre.
Use the length, stonewall him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like a tiger may be 7 feet in length, but he don't have the arm length of, say, an Amarius Mims. So
You're making a good case.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
you
lie.
are giving a
y'all
valid case.
thought I was out here playing games. Twas not. Twas not out here playing games. Him and a shark, they do a home and home.
I don't know, man. The thing about sharks
Home and
is you're
home.
in
They
there.
do a home and home.
Home and home.
Yeah.
I said they split that.
Yeah,
1-1.
split the series.
You think they split the series?
So
home
what's the
and home?
tiebreaker then? Like what's the neutral site? I guess.
Shallow water, 3 foot deep.
Shallow water. Okay.
Yeah. Let Amarius get his footing, and let the shark get his swimming.
How big is the shark? What are we
Yeah.
talking here?
I mean, 6 footer.
So 6 footer and
6 footer white shark, not a bull shark. But like we said about the bull shark's nasty. Bull shark is Chas Chambliss.
So we're talking like.
So we talking about like a standard hammerhead shark.
All right.
6 footer.
3 feet of water.
3 foot of water. That's the neutral site. The home and home obviously speaks for itself.
Amarius is taking series in.
I think so too.
I would say Amarius probably taking that series.
I mean, how many redneck dudes on the beach be out here dubbing up sharks all the time? All the
But
time.
how many rednecks do on the beach don't be doubling up sharks?
I mean, I see more dubs for Florida man than I do for a hammerhead shark. You know what I mean? I'll be out here seeing dudes in tank tops just ripping up sharks on the beach.
Floridians are ridiculous.
I've watched
I will
it
say.
happen. It's pretty insane.
And he's Bleckley, Georgia. He's South Georgia. He's kind of a dog.
Yeah,
But the home and home's an easy 1-on-1. Get him on neutral site.
I
like Amarius.
I do too.
He gonna have eyesight too. He gonna have the full wherewithal. Whereas the shark only gonna have the feet. You know what I mean? He gonna have them like knee deep, and he can kind of see what's going on up under there. But Amarius be up here. You know what I mean? He can see it all. How about a gator?
I was about to ask that one. Gator? How big's a gator? And again, what's the home and is it home and home?
Nah. That's a neutral site. That's on the golf course. You roll up on a gator.
I don't know.
Gator ain't sneaking. You roll up on the gator.
I'm gonna have to lean gator on this one.
I think so too.
He
is a dog.
I don't know, man. Like if he gets on top, it's over.
What are we talking about? Amarius Mims never lost a game to a gator.
Yeah. I mean, he gets on top of it, it's over. It's game over at that point.
Yeah, but how do you beat a gator?
You gotta
sit on it.
straddle it, and then you gotta get the snout, and you gotta hold it
And
shut.
I see a lot of electrical tape.
Yeah, gotta have.
Oh,
the
so he's
electrical
got
tape.
tools.
No. But that's what I see. I see
he's
they
got
be out
big
there
hands.
like when you catch a gator, you just kind of jump on his back and you kind of like pin him down by his neck, and then you grab his snout and you just electrical tape that some bitch, and then you throw him in the back of your F-250.
Make some nice boots out
Then
of
you go
it.
collect money from the game warden. Isn't that how that works? I think that's how that works.
I thought you just
like Amarius
domed him
Mims.
with a shotgun and then like, all right.
Yeah, but we said no weapons, so I like Amarius versus Gator. So what did we say? 2-2?
Yeah.
We gave him 2-2.
I do too.
I like Amarius Mims'
what-
odds.
How many more do you got?
I don't. Do you have any?
Amarius Mims versus Brooks Austin.
Oh God, it would be so ugly. It would be so ugly. We'll tell that story. I'll tell my Amarius. Here's the promises. Put it in the Discord channel, and we can comment it on YouTube. When Amarius Mims is done playing for the University of Georgia, I'll tell the story about the day Amarius Mims hopped in my direct messages. Okay.
All right.
Because it was scary. He is scary. He is a scary individual, but he smiles all the time.
Those are the scariest ones.
Yeah, no doubt. The ones that you know are not only willing and able to kill you, but are like, you never know what's going to happen. He's like smiling all the time. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was more like, oh, word? That's what you think? Watch this. And then he went out and had one of the best games of his career. So we'll tell that story one day. But yeah, Amarius versus anything. I want to hear the chat on that one. That's a good segment. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. Boys, we got a little segment here that we like around here called Give 'em 3. And we just, give 3. And today's 3 is questions we still have about this football team. All right, and we're going to talk about the Carson Beck hype in a little bit because that thing's getting outrageous already, boys, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I'm
literally
the
day after.
I'm the biggest Carson Beck believer in the world, but it took 24 hours before everyone said he's the next Joe Burrow. So y'all just wait on that one. We're going to talk about that one here in a little bit. But I do want to talk about this Give 'em 3 segment. And here's the deal. Here's the premise of the segment. I don't know why I have to explain it like this, but I'm going to. What questions do you still have remaining about this football team? I'll go ahead and go first. And this is number 1 on everybody's list. It should be. It's the corner opposite of Kamari Lassiter. And we can just skip it, and we can make this a Give 'em 2 segment, essentially, because that is the number 1 question. And honestly, I was talking with some people today about it. That's really the only remaining question they have as a football team and as a staff. Sure, they have some questions about whether or not Warren Brinson truly is ready at 3 technique, whether or not Jonel Aguero is going to be healthy and ready to go at the early part of the season. What's going on at running back? They have natural questions that have been created through fall camp. But the biggest question coming into fall camp and still today is who's the opposite corner of Kamari Lassiter. And it sounds right now that Julian Humphrey might have a slight hold on this lead. I tweeted out immediately. It was noticeable. The moment you walked out as a media person or anybody who knows football, if you saw and see Julian Humphrey this fall, he is a noticeably different football player. He is noticeably different physically, okay? He came into college as a track runner. He was a 10-foot or a 10-3, 10-4 runner out of Texas. He was a less than refined young man at the corner position. He was also an individual that had to go through some, let's call it callousing on the defensive side of the football, all right? I don't know how it goes for everybody, but I know as a freshman, if I entered a college football program like the University of Georgia and I was known as the TikTok dancer, don't know if that would go great for me playing defensive side of the football. All right, so he went through some growing pains. It sounds like dude has an opportunity to potentially walk out there and beat up, not necessarily beat up on, but beat out older guys, right? Particularly guys like Nyland Green. I don't know if that's what the footing's going to be. In all honesty, I think this answer on our first question that we need still to be answered doesn't get answered until maybe the South Carolina game. I think they want to have that sucker set in stone by South Carolina week 3, and then we'll know from there. Question number 2 I have, where's the leadership? Not that it's a question yet, but it will be a question. You know, Stetson wasn't some vocal presence, but he would certainly speak, right? Darnell Washington would certainly speak his mind. On that defensive side of the football, y'all know who it was. It was Nolan Smith. It was guys like Christopher Smith that could correct that defensive backfield. But where is that leadership going to come from? It sounds like guys like Pop, no fines here today, guys like Pop have filled the void on the defensive side of the football from a linebacker perspective. Guys like Tramel Walthour have been getting shouts on this channel. Don't know who else has been talking about the old head, but he's going to get a lot of, if he gets talked about, he's going to get a lot of, damn, this dude's like 29. He's been here since, the Obama administration. But no, he's going to get a lot of old head talk. But that's a where's the leadership type of deal when bullets start really flying. And the question I always have entering and exiting camp, who's the freshman? Who's it going to be? Last year we found out, we kind of knew last year, hey, this Starks dude, watch out. This Michael Williams dude, watch out. What I didn't expect was it to be first series and second series of the season. Go back and watch that Oregon game last year. They played Oregon to start the season. I don't know why I always do that. Go back and watch that Oregon game from last year. Dude, Michael Williams is on the field like third snap of the football game, Malachi Starks replaces Dan Jackson Series 2 of the football game. That's not usual. That's not normal for the University of Georgia under Kirby Smart. Typically, there's some balance there. Chat's talking about a great one right here. Jalen Walker got on the field last year. Who are the freshmen? My opinion, Damon Wilson, Roderick Robinson. One on both sides of the football. Those are the important ones. Shouts out to the Ghost like I need this. Boys, let's give them 3. What y'all got?
So you still want us to give 3, or are we just doing 2?
Well, if one of them was guaranteed to be Kamari Lassiter, or if you have 4, give me 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
I can think of a third real quick.
I got 3, and I actually didn't include the defensive back one just because I kind of avoided that one, thinking that we would talk about it. First one, this may seem like an odd question to have now, but I kind of want to know what this football team is going to look like at the halfway point. A little banged up right now, got some injuries. Of course, you got to go through your cupcake games like UT Martin, Ball State, everything. You do have South Carolina in the middle of that, but what are they going to look like when it comes week 6? That's my first one. Second one, you've mentioned a freshman. I'm specifically seeking after the freshman on the offensive side of the ball. Roderick Robinson looks to be the guy that's going to take on that. But maybe Tyler Williams, Ezeed Haynes, Sperlin, or Lucky, maybe one of those guys kind of inserts himself pretty early. Last one, this goes in with the last one. How deep is this team going to run at wide receiver? What is the rotation going to look like? I think you kind of know who your starting unit is going to be and how you're going to start out. But you also have guys like Arian Smith who kind of has this specialty thing, and then maybe if those freshmen start getting rolling in, it might look a little bit different.
I thought it was interesting to hear Arian Smith when we got a chance to talk to him. He's clearly taken offense is the wrong word, but he's clearly taken it to heart when people talk about him being just this speed guy, just this guy that darts. Now, does that mean he's going to get an opportunity to do anything else in this offense? I don't know, but he seems to have thought, or at least the thought that his game is developed to a point to where he can do other things. And as a defensive back, I don't really know what I would do if a guy can run like he can and develop any type of pace and any type of sudden change in his route tree. If that becomes an issue or if that becomes an ability, look out. What do you got? Oh, hold on. Yeah, give him 3. What do you got?
So the first one is kind of a wait and see question that you can only answer when you get towards the end of the season. How healthy can this team stay? We've already seen a couple of injuries in spring, a couple of injuries in fall camp. I mean, you could get to week 6 and, you've lost your left tackle now. You're starting DN's hurt. Your quarterback's a little banged up, and it could be a really catastrophic thing for this team. So I think seeing how healthy this team can stay and how quickly they can recover from bangs and bruises is going to be very important. Next question I have is, how solid is the kicker position? I feel like for every year, with the exception of 2016, there's been a solid, reliable option at kicker, which is, let's be honest, it's an underrated position. But Podlesny's gone, so it's going to be interesting to see. And then third question is something I wouldn't dare ask Kirby Smart in the media room. But are you
hold on. No, go ahead.
No, go. What you got?
I was going to say, you wouldn't ask this question, but you dare to speak specials on this network. We don't talk kickers. We don't.
Special teams are special.
Never once have we ever broken down kickers. We don't do it. We don't talk kickers.
Ask Ohio State how that
No
works.
kicker talk on this channel.
That's all I'm saying.
0.
Strike 1.
Oh, well. You're not going to like this question, man. Third question will be, this is a fan-oriented one.
Yeah.
Are you going to get any alternative uniforms this year?
Oh, yeah.
You hype them all the time in your visits. You see these edits, but you've only rolled out black unis twice. You had those throwbacks from 2020, but are you going to finally break out the alternate unis this year? And that's not anything you're going to get an answer to, and you're not going to ask Kirby that. But
I haven't had a ton of run in those media availabilities, but I might just sneak that one in for you. Or maybe I'll tell an intern, or not an intern, but someone else's intern to do that. Because everybody else be getting hundreds of people in that joint. We're the only company that's just little old me over there, just all by myself. Just what's up, guys?
Just send a sacrificial 19-year-old intern to ask that and have Kirby crucify him.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, bro, come here. Ask that man about them crispy white helmets that he be letting them recruits wear in photos.
The all whites, man. Gosh.
Whew. Man, them things are crispy though. You got another one, or is that all 3?
That was all 3.
Hey, give them 3. We got a concept of the day, I believe.
Yes, we do.
Oh man. Hey, second debut for the Pants out here on the network. Who'da thunk it? Not me. Don't know what's going on with the board over here. Got rid of it. All right. So my man Kirby brought up a good point. Teams running a lot of counter these days, running a lot of inside zone these days, running a lot of power. Not so much power nowadays. That was a big 2014 to 18 run. Now it's kind of making its way back in. But we do a lot of talking on this network about these things. So-and-so is running counter really well today. Y'all are running counter now, or y'all are running inside zone now. And people are like, what the hell is Brooks talking about? So today, we're going to be talking about 3 run schemes, okay, or 3 run plays, if you will. We're going to be talking about counter, which is written in the playbook as CTR. We're going to be talking about inside zone, which is IZ, okay, and we're going to be talking about power, all right? We were a big power team in college. My coach used to say, God rested on the, God rested on the 8th day, right? He worked 7 days, and on the 8th day, he rested. My coach used to say, and then God got his butt up, and he created power on the 9th day. That's how much he loved power, all right? A lot of people that big power guys, they love power. Rick Pitino, power guy. They're going to be running power at Texas A&M this year, a lot of power pass too. Let's start with inside zone, though. That's kind of the base of all offensive plays. It's the most standard of runs. Now, I, as an offensive coordinator, would always like to run the inside zone play to the 3 technique, and here's why, okay? Quarterback here, running back on the right. Now, inside zone is all about movement on the down line of the scrimmage, okay? So we got all inside or base blocks. We got what we call big on the front side. You're going to take a step, hit the guy in front of you. On the back side, this is the combination block. We got to move the nose to the mic, all right? Everything's kind of working on this track on a 45, right? We're going to take a step, and we're going to work on this angle. These blocks are to be made this way, right? This way, okay? We're going to read the backside end, all right? We're going to have an H back here, maybe move him across this way post-snap to take care of the will. Now, what this creates as an offense, okay, what this creates on inside zone as an offense, and the reason I prefer to run it to the 3 technique, okay, to the 3 technique, is because we get natural creases based off our combination blocks. All right, we get natural creases based off our combination blocks. As we base block this way, I told you, everything's working this way, right? We're going to manipulate this will and try to pull him out of the box nowadays with RPO motions and actions, right? But there is a natural crease that gets created off this down block and off this butt cheek of this guard, okay?
Hey, make sure your mic's not rubbing on your collar. Chat says that it's doing that when you move.
I'm sorry, guys. It was doing that to me this morning when I had my chain on. Maybe that's the problem. My chain's bumping around underneath. Let me take this off.
Take that Cuban link off, man. Come on.
Hey, you know me, can't hide money. Man, I feel naked now. I feel like all my juice is gone, all my swag's off. Shouts out to the chat. Our chat, never going to let anything go on. No shot. It's good people, though. Good people, though. All right, so that's inside zone. I think we did a good job of understanding what we're trying to create creases, right? Everyone's working on these angles, and we're trying as a running back to stick our foot in the ground and get north and south off the angles that they are creating. Now, let's talk about power, or let's talk about counter. Georgia was a big-time counter football team last year, right? Got a 3 technique, got a nose, or excuse me, a shade, a 3 technique, an end. We got the mic sitting here. We got the Willie here. We got the Q, and we got the R. All right, so counter is all about down blocks, angles, and surfaces, right? We can run it either to the shade or to the 3 technique. No real preferences, but we like to run these more towards the bubbles, all right? Meaning we're gonna block back on this shade technique, okay? That's the closest surface for this backside guard, or this center, okay? We're gonna take this 3 technique all the way to the backside will. So if we walk to the line of scrimmage, we're actually gonna call Mike Will, because that's where the front side combination, these 2 guys, is actually going. We're gonna pull the backside guard. He is responsible for kicking the end, okay? Pull and kick, and then we are going to wrap the backside tackle. We can do this in a bunch of ways. We can do this with a tackle. We call that GT counter. Or we can do this with the H-back. We call that GH counter, right? Put an H-back in right here. We seal off the backside end with the tackle, and now he becomes our wrapper, right? There's a multitude of ways that we can run counter. But this is kind of a misdirection play, if you will. But again, it's based all off getting movement on these down blocks. Inside zone, like this, when we're working on these angles, these are big physical blocks. We're not really working with the momentum of the defender. We're kind of just trying to uproot these guys. We're really trying to roll our hips. It's a really, really physical and demanding requirement, right? Over and over and over again. Even the best offensive lineman can't do this. Whereas now all of a sudden, when we start to run counter, we get to have down blocks on guys and work on angles. Here we're uprooting. Here we're working down on angles when we're running counter. Let's talk about power. Power is the last one. Okay, power is, I think, one of the better calls or one of the better design runs in all of football. I don't think Georgia runs a ton of it. I think I've seen Georgia run power maybe 4 or 5 times since I've been covering Georgia. And it's very, very specific when they did it. I couldn't even tell you when they did, but they do work power pass action off of power. All right, so here we go on power. Power is a one guard pull, okay, one guard pull, and you typically want to run it away from, okay, you can run it both sides, but either way, you're blocking back, okay? I don't know why all of a sudden, base block on the front side, we're going to pull the backside guard, insert him, okay, and we're going to scoop on the backside. All we're trying to do is create a crease in the middle of the offensive defensive line and insert a +1 under the front side of the line of scrimmage. Think about it as a count game, right? A count game here. They have 1, 2, 3 defenders on the left side of the line of scrimmage, just like they have 1, 2, 3 defenders on the right side of the line of scrimmage. So if I take one and I add him into the equation on the front side, we've now got a +1 count, right? That's how offensive metrics works. That's how run games are designed. We're just trying to get to a point to where we have a +1 count. If I got it, good. That felt elongated. Sorry if that felt long as a audience member. It is what it is. We're still learning here. Hey, how about that Carson Beck hype? Did y'all see that article today where they got him ranked like top 10 in the NFL draft already?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday that I told you that someone had him slotted in at the 8th spot in next year's draft. 8th overall pick. And he's been the starter for 3 days now.
Now, that was CBS?
I don't know who it was. It was one of the media analysts.
I'm extremely high on Carson Beck. I am. I think he's going to be really, really good. But here's what someone actually at Georgia told me that NFL scouts are bringing to their attention as they try to not necessarily sell Carson Beck to NFL teams, but it behooves everybody that Carson be a one and done. We all know that. We all sit here today and say it's best for the University of Georgia and everybody involved that he has an absolute stellar year and let's go. Let's go to the NFL and be done. But here's every time they tell the NFL scouts that he's ready for this, not every time, but here's what I would imagine they get back. All right, the NFL has drafted 3 guys in the last 10 years that fit the less than 15 starts caliber of football player, right? Meaning they only started a single year of college football. Those names are Mitch Trubisky, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. That's not a great sample size for NFL teams to sit there and say, yeah, let's take another stab at a guy that only played 15 games. Even though, I'm a tremendous believer in Carson Beck. But I think the NFL might be on the verge of figuring out that we need to be in the sample size business with regards to a position that we miss a shitload on. We can't figure out the quarterback position to save our butt. We're basically flipping a coin every time we do it. So we need a larger sample size. I think there is an opportunity or a possibility that the NFL looks at Carson this year and says, no matter what, we're going to need to see another year, no matter what. And I do think the only thing that takes me off of this is he's in New York. If he's in New York, if he has truly one of those years where it's so obvious that this guy is one of the best quarterbacks in America, then yeah, go to the NFL. But if not, come back for year 2 and start another year worth of sample size.
That also goes without mentioning just how loaded next year's quarterback class could be. I mean, it could get loaded up very quickly. Like if Quinn Ewers plays really well at Texas this year, Caleb Williams is going to be gone. Drake May is going to be gone.
Riley Leonard out of Duke.
Yeah, I mean, it very quickly is going to get loaded up with spots. So even if Carson Beck does shine this year and he goes 15 games, even that alone could maybe deter him from going.
The thing I don't really get about what the media is doing right now is that when Carson Beck was announced officially as the starter, everyone kind of said, oh, well, we always knew this was going to happen. We always had this feeling. But they wouldn't put him on Heisman finalist watch. They wouldn't put him in the first round. And now all of a sudden you knew, but you're just now putting them on these first round. It's almost like they're buying into the hype too much for me. I don't really understand why they're doing that, but anywho.
Well, I think it's I've heard a lot of it's a Georgia talent discussion. That whoever, it's just, it's an NPC. It's a non-playing character at the quarterback position at Georgia. There's a lot of people in this industry that believe that Georgia's roster is so good that the person at the signal caller position just doesn't really matter as much as it does at other places, which, to be honest, is somewhat true. It's somewhat true that every single time you line up on Saturday, your 10 guys around you are better than the 10 guys that the other quarterbacks got around him. That's said everywhere except for maybe Ohio State. And I wouldn't even put Alabama in that discussion, right? It's just Ohio State. That's about it. So you have as much talent, if not more, around you than anybody else in college football. So, yeah, you should have some type of success. And I think a lot of people look at it as that way. Anything else on the topic of the Carson Beck hype? What are his Heisman odds? Aren't they already up to plus 1,200?
I think he was 7th last time I checked amongst everybody.
It's plus 1,200, isn't it?
I think so. So it's definitely around that range.
Not bad odds for a guy who's 4,000 yards is the benchmark. I would put that at the total over-under if I were, setting the book over on Prize Picks.
I got a question. I saw this comparison the other day, and I thought it was interesting. I think there are differences between these two guys, but I think there are also some similarities. Someone said that Carson Beck reminds them of Matt Ryan. And I actually kind of like better arm. Yeah, like I said, there are some differences, but I think the way that he distributes the football, he processes the game. I think Matt Ryan showed a lot of that in his game in Atlanta. I think I can see some similarities there.
Better arm, better athlete. But yeah, it's a decent comparison.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. I think more of I just remember going back and watching him at Mandarin, and he looked like a fucking Manning to me. He always has looked like a Manning to me. He looks like what people tell me Arch is supposed to be. Honestly, honest to God, where people are like, oh, Arch is this great athlete. Well, no, Arch is a 2023 athlete at the quarterback position. That's what he is. He's a 4.75 runner. If you ain't that, you can't play it no more. Not really. You really can't. Like, the metrics nowadays are like 4.85 below at the quarterback position to play in the NFL. That's exactly what Arch Manning is. I think that's exactly what Carson Beck is. And, when you just look at him, when you watch how he plays the position, that's Peyton. That's Eli. That's what Arch is supposed to be. These idea of oh, well, he's a man and he's got all the processing that came with Peyton. That's not guaranteed with Arch. I can tell you right now, listen to the way people talk about Carson Beck. That son bitch is a machine. He's a computer. Kirby Smart the other day said he is the best the most intellectual quarterback from a processing perspective that he's ever coached at Georgia. Y'all said forever when y'all were buying the Fromm hype, y'all told me forever that it was because he was this great processor of information and, he could sit up there and make great reads and decisions on third down. This is the computer. This is what this is. This is
Cyborg
Carson Beck. Huh?
Cyborg Beck.
Say what?
Cyborg Beck.
Yeah, Cyborg Beck. No highs, no lows, no emotion. I don't think you're going to get a bunch of camera-worthy shots of him this year. I don't think there is. But I also think there's going to be, at some point, some type of growing pains. And I just hope y'all don't bail on him when it happens. Because there's a tendency to do that to young quarterbacks. Y'all just be throwing people out there and expecting them to play like lights out all the time. As if the season of 2020 didn't exist for Stetson Bennett. As if the growing pains of his freshman year didn't exist for Aaron Murray. As if, the young players don't have to grow. As if that doesn't happen. Just because he's a junior, he hasn't seen the playing time. He hasn't seen the reps. So you have to be willing to sit through the growing pains, if you will.
Yeah, and it's easy to start bailing on him, of course, when you look at the depth chart. But I think, Carson Beck has talked about this offseason, how he feels like he has matured and how like he said 2 years ago, if I were to hit a bump in the road or something were to go wrong with me, I would not have been mentally prepared to take on that task and keep on moving forward. And he said he actually talked to Stetson Bennett quite a bit to get some advice from him on how to handle those types of things. So I think he has the right mental space and the right attitude to overcome those things. So I think fans should definitely just continue to stick with him.
Nothing? Yeah, ride it out. Okay, ride it out like he has, right? He's rode it out with you guys. Carson Beck waited the opportunity to have his chance to be a starting quarterback at the University of Georgia, and it's extremely rare. The room in its entirety is really, really rare. Okay, in the day and age of college football, with the idea of the portal and one-time transferability and graduate transfers and COVID years, dude, guys can play college football wherever they want for however long they want nowadays. They can have eternal careers. If Bo Nix ain't proof of that, I don't know what is. All right, so you can play forever and you can go wherever and you have all this freedom as a player nowadays, except for these three guys at the University of Georgia have chose to stick it out where they're at. They chose to grow where they are planted, and it is extremely rare. It feels unprecedented. And I know I asked Jay Will to run down the stats, and he's going to give them to you in a minute. But I think sometimes this discussion often goes back to Kirby Smart, and it does have a lot to do with the culture that was created at the University of Georgia. And it does have a lot to do with Kirby Smart's ability to develop relationships with his players. All that's necessary. All that is needed. But I don't think this is a Kirby Smart discussion. I think this is a discussion about two different things. One, the people in that room, the people in the quarterback room at the University of Georgia are very unique. They're very special individuals. Okay, that speaks enough about them that Carson would wait his time, that Brock Vandagriff would know the writing was on the wall in February, essentially, from what we all know, okay, and ride this out, compete his nuts off, and still stick around throughout this fall. Says a lot about him. And Gunnar Stockton, knowing that, you know, hey, this Vandagriff guy didn't leave. I'm going to have to compete against him the moment this Carson Beck guy finally gets out of here. Oh, by the way, this Raiola guy, everyone says he's great, and he really is, and he's coming in. Shit, there's two of them? This Puglisi guy is really good too? Wow. Now all of a sudden this room really, really got crowded, and it already was. And the opportunity for me to play looked really dim just before. Now it really does. All this doesn't matter to these people, right? Brock Vandagriff is a Georgia kid. That dude loves the University of Georgia. Okay, Gunnar Stockton, the same could be said about him. He loves the University of Georgia and is happy growing where he is being planted right now. So there are special people in that room, but it's also a very special place. Okay, number 1 overall draft pick, Trayvon Walker, started 1 year at the University of Georgia, sat for 2 seasons, played special teams as a freshman, played special teams as a sophomore, got to start after and only after Malik Herring went to the league. That's how it worked. The number 1 overall draft pick, sat 2 years, got to play 1. The biggest story, the only guy in the last 35, 40 years to be invited to New York as a Heisman finalist. Good God, if that wasn't a story of perseverance and waiting your turn, I don't know what is. It's a very special place at the University of Georgia. Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, Warren Brinson, we talked to him today. We talked about him earlier. That's a dude that's waited his turn. Xavier Sori was a 5-star football player. Will make his first career start after waiting on the bench 2 full seasons this fall, and only because Smile Mondon is hurt. Carson Beck right now, we just talked about him right now. Brock Vandagriff, Gunnar Stockton, it's a very special place to be, apparently, based off the retention rates for these guys. I asked you to do some digging on these portal numbers, and here's the preface, right? I'll let you set the stage. You're my stats guy. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we took a look at the teams that have won a national title very recently, so like Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, those types of teams. And so I went from 2019 on, because that's the latest that the transfer logs run, and I counted up how many quarterbacks have transferred out of these programs, just out, no guys in. Clemson has had 4 since 2019. Ohio State has had 5. Georgia has had 3. Jacob Eason does not count in this scenario because it's just from 2019 on, so 3. Yeah. Alabama has had 5. LSU has had 6. And Lincoln Riley at both Oklahoma and USC has had 6 as well.
All right, now here's the main difference. And I didn't do the digging on the other ones, but I know those 3 names at Georgia. It was DeJuan Mathis, JT Daniels, and Justin Fields, correct? Mm-hmm. Only one of those, Justin Fields, didn't get an opportunity to actually have the job. DeJuan Mathis lost the job in 6 possessions at the University of Georgia, lost the job at Temple. Okay, he had ample opportunity. Okay, JT Daniels lost the job. Okay, whether it would be due to injury or whether it be due to not practicing or whatever it be due to, he lost that job. Okay, I don't know the story of all those other guys. But at Georgia, if you're a quarterback, you stick around till you get a chance. And if you don't make something of it, then you just have to go because you didn't make something of it. Like, that's unique. That's really rare. It's not only that it's only been 3 guys, which is considerably, it's the least out of all of those, right?
Yeah, and then, I mean, a kind of an example of that is at Ohio State. 2 guys that never really got a chance and they just dipped out. One being Tate Martell, which he transferred out when Justin Fields rolled in. And then Joe Burrow, he never got his chance at Ohio State, and then he goes on and wins a national championship at LSU.
Yeah, it's a testament to the room it's a testament to the culture. It's a testament to what's going on at the University of Georgia. And again, it's not just it's unique to the sport. It is not unique to that university. That school is keeping on to guys that they shouldn't be hanging on to. Hey, speaking of hanging on, hang on with us. We got another hour coming up right here, just on the other side